Kia ora, my name is Jacob.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and we're the Ohlsons. For those of you who don't know us, we came from quite a non-Christian background. So about 8 years ago, we came to Lifezone Church and have had so much generous people invest into our lives and love on us.
So we lived in one-bedroom places to just really save all our deposit and to pay off our debt.
They let us work for our living or just charged us for food and bills and things. So we managed to smash out the debt, save a huge amount for a house where we thought with KiwiSaver we had about 100 grand and we still couldn't get a loan from the bank.
The bank said that we could have 280,000. That's all they could give us. And so we had looked at two houses. One house, the roof was about to fall off, and another house that the wall was going to come down, and we couldn't even purchase those ones. So the only house that we would be able to get would be quite a small box home that's nothing special, no backyard, not really much at all. And we have a big family, come from a big family, got quite a lot of non-Christian friends, and of course we wanted a house that we would be able to host people and bring people around. And so hearing that from the bank was sort of like
I was really heavily pregnant. It was about April and our baby was due in September, and there was no sight of us going to be able to buy a house. And I had this prayer list, and one of the things that I really desired was to have our last baby in our house, and it just wasn't looking hopeful.
Hi, my name's Natalia.
Hi, my name's Libby.
Hi, mine's Tika.
I'm Gerda. I was 7 when we moved into this house. Libby was 5. And we were going to Gresham Village School down the road. And we moved in and it was wallpapered in hideous colours. And so we had a wonderful time pulling all the wallpaper down. And we lived here for how long? 6 years?
About 6 years.
And had different people living in the flat downstairs.
So this corner here didn't have anything in it when we bought the house, and one weekend I was away and Tony and the girls built this desk for me, and this is where I wrote my thesis. And so every morning and every night I'd be sitting here studying, and the girls would like come down the corridor at night to go to the loo, and then they'd be like, "Night, Mum," and then they'd get up in the morning and I'd still be sitting here and they would be like, "Did you go to bed?" But yeah, this corner of the house is probably one of the most precious memories for me.
This was my bedroom, and yeah, it brings like back what is it?
This was my room. Oh, does she mind us?
Maybe
not in there. But this was my room. Hello, dog. This was Mum and Dad's room.
The back door right in front of the shower.
What? I loved the backyard and riding our bike around the house and drawing on the driveway and
With the chalk. One of our favourite things about this house, there's a humongous locust tree down there, and it in the spring it fruits, and after school we used to come home and spend hours in there just eating all the fruit. But Dad really wanted to cut it down.
Really?
So when we first moved here, this was to be our forever home as well. And so I invested a lot of time in planting fruit trees, lemon trees, limes, peaches, plums, apples and pears.
Blueberries.
So good.
And the locust tree,
a lot
wait.
of blueberries and the loquat
Yummy
tree.
locust tree.
It used to be bigger, but they
Trimmed it.
Kia ora, I am Tony and this is
I'm
Lindsay. And we are the so-called fishies. Yeah, this story I guess started for us a long time ago. We've always had a real passion around seeing people overcome what is widely talked about in the media as being the housing crisis. It's something that we went through as a young couple and found it rather frustrating, and And when we heard about the Ohlson story, I think the part of it's probably is their real desire to be in ministry and to be working in the church and to be doing things in the community, which was also our heart. And just what a strain it is when you have a heart's desire to do that, but your living situation is so restrictive.
We sent a text message out to our SALT group, which is the leadership group at Life Zone, and Tony and Lindsay were in that group. We were trying to make it clear we weren't after anyone's money, like money wouldn't help. So we thought no one in the group could help us, we were just wanting prayer.
So at the time that Rach had sent out the text and we were praying into this situation, I remember driving through Greerton and just really crying out to the Lord and just asking Him, why isn't anyone helping with this situation? Why is this such a big deal? And the Lord really spoke to me quite clearly, and it was just like, well, what are you doing about it? And sometimes, as Christians, those aren't the words that we want to hear in response to our prayers, because that's quite confronting.
Tony and Lindsay invited us round for dinner, and at that time I was like, oh crap, they're going away for 2 years, they're going to ask us to house sit and rent their house. And I was actually thinking like, okay, we've got to make sure we're ready to kind of respond with a polite no. And then the other thought I had was, we've never been to their house, what if they're going to ask if somehow we'll buy their house? And then we drove up their driveway and we saw the deck and the large land.
Yeah.
And I just laughed at Jake and I was like, oh, okay, well we know it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
They're going to ask us to house sit.
Yeah. I think as soon as we did drive up that driveway, we saw the deck, then we were driving in like, wow, this place is massive. We're just like, yep, we could never afford a house like this. And then we were having dinner, and I remember the time where it was just sort of like this awkward silence, and I was just like, now you guys can ask us, like what are you guys gonna ask us? Just go for it right now. And when they said, like, would you fellas consider buying this house? We were just like looking around like, what?
And Tony's a pretty funny guy, so I think we're just like chuckling like, when we sent you that message we should have put the like financials in there of how much we're looking at.
There's no way that we'd be able to buy this house. How would it even be possible?
This will be our 10-year plan of a house like this.
Yeah. When someone proposes you an offer like that sort of takes you by surprise, and we saw all the ways that it benefited us, but like, how does it benefit these guys at all? And so we were just like feeling really blessed, like, holy moly, this is like so extraordinary. And then at the same time we were just like, oh man, but how does this benefit the fish whānau,
Naturally, I'm not a risk taker. I think when it comes to issues of security and what society says you need to do for your family and what maybe even your family says you need to do for your family, putting that at risk is not my natural comfort zone. It's not where I would normally want to be. When we moved to Tauranga, the Lord had really provided that security for us. We came here to work in ministry, to work with Whanau, and we trusted God at that time to come here and to do that, and He really provided for us in many ways, not just in this house, but in many other ways as well. And hearing from the Lord, I knew it was the Lord speaking in this for a number of reasons. One was that there was a real peace in my heart about it. Two was that Lindsay had a real peace about it. When we talked about it, she agreed straight away. And I think the third thing, which was a real confirmation, was that people were trying to talk us out of it. People were trying to talk us reason sense into us. And it was really stark in my mind that the things that people were saying were really counter to the Word of God, even though they were doing it with good intention and they had our best interests at heart. Yeah, so when others started pointing out that, hey, maybe this was a little bit crazy, it really cemented in me that, hey, this is not a risk at all. If this is the word of the Lord, this is not, there's no risk involved in what He's asking us to do.
I feel thankful that they let us buy half of the house, because otherwise we had to buy this little house that had no yard at all. And like, 'cause it was too little for people to come over and have dinner together.
What's the things you love about this house, Koha?
This is one's a scary one. There's a spider. We like to skate and biking. Yeah, because we like to go on our bikes and go up the driveway and then go all the way down and then go all the way to the big yard. We really like school because we don't have to walk that long.
We also had a prayer list of things we wanted in a house. Like, one of the things that was really important to me was that I could walk the children to their primary school, and it's about 3 to 5 minute walk. So, but there was a big list, and everything that I desired, God knew, and it was in this house, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It changed our life forever. Like, we're in our forever home, and the children are still young, and we have just gotten into the housing market. We wouldn't have been there without the help and the generosity. And it's like our grandchildren will be affected because of this. Hopefully outside of our family we can also, with what God's given us, take that risk like Tony speaks of, but that step of faith and stepping out and helping another family or whatever God brings in front of us to give out not just what we can, but that bit further of what God's asking. Like, I really hope we could be generous to somebody else in that way.
This story doesn't just affect us, but it is a story that would get passed on from generation to generation, and not only just the story of the generosity of the fishers, but also the obedience that they took as well, with trusting in God throughout the whole thing. And so that story of a gospel-centered family or gospel-focused family that's really wanting to be obedient to Christ and trust in Him is a story that not only lives on through the fish whānau, but also lives on through our whānau as well. I think it does for the next generation as well, to be able to aspire to trust in God and to be obedient to God as well.
Everyone's kind of talked about what the story of what happened, and what we did, and that's really cool, like the way that it's worked out for the Ohlsons being here. Lots of people in the church will know that we planned to be away for 2 years, and she's like, what the heck, lady?
Do you cry too?
Oh, it's one of those days. I knew this was going to happen.
It's good.
Waterproof mascara.
Yeah, well, thank you, Hamish, for my waterproof mascara. When we left this house, we were planning to be away for 2 years, and we set out to do that for lots of different reasons that didn't happen. If you look at what's happened for us through like the lens of the world, people would say, our travel plans didn't work out. We've got a much smaller house, doesn't have a backyard. People might say, if you believe in such a thing as the property ladder, we've taken a step down the property ladder. And it's really easy to look at all those things, and I'm sure some people looking on do think that, but we have got heaps more out of this than that. We trusted God, and despite everything that happened to us this year, we are living with a roof over our heads and in a community that we really love. When we invited the Ohlsons over for dinner that night, we didn't really know them, but now we have a family of friends that we know we can completely rely on, and they can rely on us. We don't really understand everything that has happened and is still happening for us. We don't know what God's got in store, but we're just trying to trust that He is still working in this situation.
One thing I learned when we sold our house to the Ohlsons was that generosity isn't all about just the little warm fuzzies. It can be really hard too, and yeah.
I used to think that kids could only like do like small things of generosity, but I found that kids can do big things too.
The Lord's not asking us to give out of our excess. It's not about, looking through and seeing what we can send to the op shop. The purpose of generosity is for the Lord to do a work in our own hearts. And I really feel that's what He's done for us as a family. We've learned to trust in Him at an even deeper level. And through that, we have been immensely blessed. And to see other people blessed as well is just the icing on the cake.
When we were talking to our kids about what have you learned about generosity, I was really shocked that they were saying things like, oh, we thought that generosity was just you give away what you don't want anymore. It actually shocked me that that's what my kids thought was generosity. And if we hadn't done this, they wouldn't have learned that lesson. And we wouldn't have either.
And I remember when we had this one's first birthday here, and we had all our friends in a whanau here, and Tony and Lindsay were there as well, the kids, and I remember Lindsay saying to me, like, this is exactly what we wanted the house to be used for.